Hello, welcome to another English couple.
Yet another English couple chat.
We have a lovely tea set in front of us. Thank you so much to
Linda
Kane, who very kindly stumbled across this and thought of us. And
She knew we were looking and she
Yeah.
had her eyes open.
So we're going to have a bit of a tea party at the same time, which is lovely. Although, you know, this... well, it may go out at tea time depending on where you are, but you can have tea with us and have a good old chinwag.
Please, sit down, take a pew.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about another thing that couples have to face, I suppose, especially new couples when they get together, baggage.
Emotional, psychological,
And physical. Yes. So just dealing with the physical. Oh, shall we get the tea going? Because
I'll be mum.
Yes, thank you very much, Mum. These are beautiful. I believe that this tea set is... Oh, hang on. Wait. Put the milk in first.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Yes, no, you've got to put the milk in first when you... Let me do that. In teacups. People will have their own thoughts on whether you put the tea in first or the milk in first. But my theory is when it's in a pot, you put the tea in first. You put the tea in the pot, but the milk first in the teacup. Because it's already done the feverish, it's hot, isn't it?
It is, but the reason I'm holding it in a funny manner is because it does actually have some breaks. The top of the
teapot
there is broken off, and the handle has been broken and glued
and
there.
re-glued. So we don't want it to.
Yes, it's too pretty.
It might be a hilarious moment, but we don't want to share that.
One day it might happen on camera, but we're only going to use that one on camera, aren't we?
Yes. Anyway, baggage. So let's deal with the physical side of baggage first. When you get together and you move in with somebody, and we've yet to do that properly, although Julia comes and stays here and she brings her stuff. I, as yet, can't stay at Julia's house because you're still with your ex in the house living separately.
That's right.
So that doesn't happen. But yes, I imagine when you move in, I've only ever moved in when I moved in here 30 years ago with my ex-wife. We bought the house together, so we came. But of course, she came with her stuff and I came with my stuff. And in that instance, I think I don't know. It's so long ago now. It's 30-something years ago we moved in here. And we didn't have a lot, you know, back then. But as you get older, you acquire stuff, don't you?
More and more.
And some people have, and I know I'm a bit of a hoarder in some ways, because a lot of the things I have, I think, oh, props. I might be able to use them. So they're totally useless, but they might be slightly comic or fun, and I might be able to use them in a video. Whereas other people hold on to things purely for the sentimental value and can't get shot of them.
Well, there's not just purely for the sentimental. There's sentimental value. There's that will be useful.
Right. Yes.
You know, so the whole sense of not letting too much go to waste. But in actual fact, me being a bit of a hoarder myself, things do end up going to waste just because you're holding on to them instead of getting them out there where someone else might use them.
So I have in my bedroom, when my son brought his girlfriend in and said, "Dad, is it all right if his girlfriend stayed here for a few years?" I moved out of the master bedroom, moved into the back bedroom, small bedroom, and I bunged loads of stuff into boxes because the room was obviously smaller. And having done that, I put these boxes, stacked them up in the back of the bedroom. And that was 4 years ago now. And I was saying to Julia only the other day, I said, do you know what? I need to sort out these boxes. Probably if I've not been in them for 4 years, there's nothing really I want. There might be the odd sentimental thing. And often there's scripts and perhaps a hard drive with memories and things on.
You need to retain those.
Yes, you
that's
think,
for sure.
I want to hold on to those. But there's clothes that I no longer wear, never worn, for 4 years. I've changed my wardrobe. I've got thinner and I was wearing...
You actually wear jackets that fit you properly now.
Yes, that's true. So I still have a load of old crap to get shot of. And I think when you're thinking about somebody else, particularly if they're moving in with you or you're thinking of moving in together and you've got to think, well, we don't want to take everything, it is a good time to thin down stuff, isn't it?
It absolutely is the best time to thin down.
Because otherwise, where do you put it all? So physical, have you got lots of physical baggage?
I have got quite a lot. I have been chipping away at it.
Yes.
But because I'm not the only hoarder in the house.
No.
So it's been difficult. But there has been a lot more done. I must congratulate or commend my ex. He's made some considerable effort lately. So, and that's kind of cleared my mind a bit. So, and it's making it easier for me to sort
And if you're
some
both
more
at
stuff
it,
out.
the motivation is, oh, you've done, so I'll do some, and it's not just a one-sided thing.
And it just, the whole thing comes together much better, you know.
Yeah.
It's good.
I can imagine that if you're in a relationship where one is minimalist and the other has a load, that must put tension on people.
Yes, but at the same time, you could end up balancing each other out. I mean, I know a couple. Maybe I shouldn't say who they are.
No, don't say who they are.
One who is exactly this,
Right.
a bit of a minimalist, and the other who is a bit of a hoarder.
Right.
But they do balance each other out, you know. The one will be like, do you really need all those? And
Yes.
the other will be like, no, you're right, I better sort some of that out.
I think if you've got stuff and you're using it a lot, or there is a real potential of using it.
Absolutely, you know,
then
organise it, get it all nice and,
Yeah.
you know, so you can use it and it's all good.
But being organised, which I think could be the subject of another English couple chat, isn't as easy as it seems.
Yeah, we could talk for hours on that.
And so, you know, you think you're organised, don't you? And then I mean, I think I'm relatively organised, but you go in my back room downstairs and you realise that is the junk room, and I basically put everything in that because I don't have a loft. But people put a lot of their baggage into the loft, and then you forget about it until perhaps you move house and you realise, I don't actually need all of this. Or you could be putting stuff into storage and paying for stuff, and it stays, and you're just paying a monthly payment, and you've never used it, which is
Not looked in there for years, perhaps.
yeah. So that is physical. By the way, would you like a piece of bread?
Oh, yes, please.
We'll have to nibble these because
Very
people don't like you,
Eating on camera.
eating on camera. But
It is a little rude,
we are
perhaps.
having a tea. This is a bit of a tea thing, and it's very English, and we like being English because we.
Cheers, by the way.
Oh yes, sorry.
They're very
I'm going
English.
to do
Yes.
this in the
properly.
English.
Pinky.
Pinky's out.
Oh, it's easier to do that with my broken pinky.
Oh, yes, you did have a rather nasty accident with your
Yes.
pinky. So, what was the other ones? We've done physical baggage, emotional baggage, and
And physical, psychological baggage.
psychological baggage.
Both are kind of relatively, well, they are closely linked.
So, talk about the relatives baggage.
Well, you know, there's all sorts of baggage from, you know, psychological baggage from how you're raised, your relationship with your parents and your family. Then there's all the relationships you've had ever since, the friendships, your partners, your lovers.
Oh, friends. That is a real thing, isn't it? If you've got friends that the other partner doesn't like, that could be a problem.
That can be a problem. Yeah.
You know, because as much as they want to support you and be together, you suddenly think, hang on, you've got a whole load of gangster friends who go around beating up old ladies. I'm not sure I can...
Not sure how common that problem is, but
No,
it's
but
a good,
I'm taking
it's an
it to
example.
I'm taking it to an extreme. But you could have friends that you just can't stand for no apparent reason.
Well, you know, I mean, there's so many different types of people in this world, and that's how it's meant to be, you know.
Well,
It's a
absolutely.
rainbow of differences. But not everyone is going to get along, and you can't expect everyone to get along.
No.
You know, you just have to find ways of making it work.
And especially if you've met somebody out of your circle. You know, I mean, we've been reading a book about the Duchess of Devonshire called Georgiana, based in
1790, well,
yeah,
80s
the
and
late
90s.
18th century. And it's interesting how, you know, all these people have stayed within their circle, but every now and again, you can imagine that for example, the Duke was having affairs with perhaps people who weren't in his circle, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then they end up with kids and all of that. Well, if you and so that's, you know, very class-like. But if you've got friends and you mix around, as we do in the modern world, with people not in different classes as such, because you know, I suppose we're all trying to be in a classless society as such, but people who have semi-posh friends or well-to-do friends or rough and ready friends, just to put terrible labels on, and one's treading very carefully not to upset and offend anybody.
Too late.
Too late, that's me. But if you've got friends that the other person just does not approve of, it can be difficult, because that's where the couple can have problems. Because, well, I'd rather that woman doesn't never come to my house, or I'd rather those friends of yours don't come to the house. And you go, but darling, you know, they're my friends.
It is a strange thing. I mean, in some cases, people will completely stop seeing their friends, not out of intention, but they'll just slowly stop seeing their friends in favour of their new partner. But likewise, sometimes, people will spend more time with their friends than the new partner, and there's all sorts of complexities that can happen.
You have to. I've got this bit of bread stuck down the throat.
Quick, wash it down.
Yes, you
Have
have
a cup
to.
of tea.
You have to put up a lot with a lot. I mean, it's part of a relationship, isn't it? But if you're, say, you have a relationship with somebody who's one of the boys, and says, well, I always go down to the pub on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, or whatever it is, or on a Friday night and a Saturday night. Friday, I'm always doing football with my mates, and it's like, but darling, I'm your partner, and these tensions, because it's that you're buying into all of this, and you've got to somehow work it out, haven't you? And you go, well, he's always done that, and he can't be jealous of the fact that they've got other friends. But anyway, that's I guess friendships and all of that is different to the baggage that we're talking about.
Yeah, well,
it's another subject, though. We can.
But it is part of the baggage, though.
So psychological baggage. So hang on, baggage of family, because that's another. You might say I don't have much of a family, other than my children downwards. I don't really have extended family.
Do you consider your ex-wife as family, considering she's the mother of your children?
Now, that's a very good question. I mean, I don't see her now, unless there's a birthday and there's a party.
No, I didn't mean actually physically see her. I mean, do you look at her, or feel about her as if she is family? Because
well, I suppose she is, but it's I'm somebody. I know this is going to sound really bad, but unless I'm seeing people, I forget about them. I'm not very good at remembering who people. Well, I mean, obviously, I remember who they are. It's not like, you
nice
used
to
to be
meet you.
married to me. Oh, did I? I just don't know you anymore. No, it's just, I don't know. I think I'm not an oddball in that. I'm sure other people are like me. That I have a very small, limited number of friends. We have a lot of associates and a lot of viewers who watch who are friendly, but I don't go to the pub with them or go to the cinema or the theatre, or I don't even do very much of that myself. So I'm very not selective particularly. I'm just not that outgoing. But I'm trying to answer your question in a very roundabout way.
I noticed.
I guess she is a member of the family, but yes, obviously she's a member of the family because she's the children's mother. But but she's not.
Well, the reason I was asking is because it's something I've been having to, impress upon my children, particularly my eldest, because obviously he's 11 and he's much more aware of what's going on with the separation and divorce. So, but I've been trying to impress upon him, look, just because we're not together anymore, his dad, his father and myself, we're still family, we're still connected by love for you. We still care for each other. We just not.
And from the kids' point of view, absolutely, the parents are still part of their family. So yes, by default, she is. I suppose I was thinking, like with your family, you have your mum and dad that you see regularly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking family that you see regularly. I mean, clearly, my ex is on the family tree, and so therefore is the fact. But I don't see her.
Yeah, because I mean, I've got a larger family than you, so I've got more uncles and cousins and triple cousins and cousins thrice removed or twice removed. All of this.
Yes.
Lots of them.
I wish
really.
I had mine permanently removed, but I don't have many.
You don't mean that.
No, I don't mean I don't have them.
You probably don't even know them.
No, I don't, and that's the thing. So.
But yeah, so I have family that a large family. So I have family that I do see.
Yes.
As often as I can. My mum, my dad, my brothers.
Yes.
And my nan and granddad and other nan when they were here. But my cousins, and I do try to see one of my cousins who I was closest to, but it's difficult. So there is family members that I do see and family members that I don't see, but they're still family and I still love them. And if ever they called out to me, I'd be there for them,
Yeah. I mean, I've never really had that type of extended family. I suppose that's what's made me pretty insular, really.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, oh, is it?
Yeah. Because as a kid, we would see our granny. My mum, as you know, was in an orphanage, so I don't have grandparents through that side of the family.
Sadly.
I'd see my dad's mum. When I was small, Granddad was around, and then he died when I was about 8, so I don't really remember too much with him. And then when Granny died, that was it. My dad has a sister, an auntie, and we as young kids would go and see them at Christmas, but that was kind of it. And I did have 2 cousins, but I never keep in touch with them. I barely know where they live. Well, I don't know where they live. And so my side of the family kept itself very... We always felt that we were the poor side of the family. So, and my mum and dad had split up, and, it's all, a bit of a... one of those sort of stories. And so we just felt we were the poor family, insignificant part of the family. And I guess part of that stays with you. So in some ways I'm envious that you've got a large extended family. You've got lots of people you can call on if you need help.
There is that.
But at the same time, when it comes to birthdays and Christmas, I'm very pleased that I don't have to think about much more than really my grandchildren and a card to my kids these days, because it's, otherwise if you've got to buy for all these people, or you worry about, where are we going to go at Christmas and all of this, I don't have that issue, which is great.
I mean, there are more complexities, from having a larger family.
But of course...
For example, like with my maternal grandmother, she had 5 children, and each of those have had at least 2 children. So there's a lot of us.
Yes.
But although she never intended this, but it always felt like, when, for example, when we were there, myself and my brothers and my mum at her house visiting, she'd be talking about my cousins, or so-and-so's done this, so-and-so's done that. And it would always feel like they've done better than you. You need to try harder. It was not intentional, but this is the complexities
of underlining competition.
Yeah. But it's not until we got into, late teens, early 20s, myself and one of my other cousins, and we were talking about it. And she said, well, because I said, because you were always better and in Nan's eyes. She's like, what? That's not how we felt. We always felt like you were the favourite.
Oh, I see. So you're being played off one against the other.
Yeah, not intentionally, but it's just
the way the perception.
Yeah, so we had a laugh about it and realised, okay, it's funny the perception of kids anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true. And having an extended family and somebody who doesn't have the extended family, you go down to see your parents quite a bit, and you say, oh, come on, Rich, I'd like to take you down because you're my partner. And I can't do that to you and say, oh, come down to see my mum and my dad and what have you. My kids are busy doing their own thing with their kids because they're busy. So I don't even get to see them.
No. I was hoping to kind of try and encourage, and build a bit of a bond with them myself to kind of make that happen more for me. But I've been so clouded up with my own rubbish.
Well, of course. And so... sometimes I feel, and that's not that I feel, sometimes, it's like you've got your extent, come and meet all these people, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm sort of the...
You feel like I'm trying to show off the bit of stuff on my arm.
It's like, if I don't go, I feel bad, but they're not my family. As much as your mum and dad are lovely, and I know your brothers, and now I've been welcomed into your family, which is fantastic. So, if any of them are watching, this isn't a sort of... But it's like when you're outside the family, you're always outside the family. Even we're not married, we're not living together yet. We've only recently, become an item as such. And I love coming down to see your family and being part of and being accepted by family. But I don't know. I suppose I'm just somewhat outside because I don't have the same upbringing.
Yes.
And shared experiences.
I think it's not just the shared experience. I think it's the difference in upbringing. I mean,
well, if you have your own family little jokes and things that you do, you can explain them to me. But because I wasn't there when you were a kid, like what's the thing about the toast? You have a toast joke with your mum about toast. So I don't, I can understand it intellectually. Oh yeah, you had this joke and it was funny, but you had to be there. I wasn't there.
No. Well, that's the thing. Unless you spend time with them, you don't get to. Excuse me. You don't get to build these.
But over time, I think you do.
Exactly. Over time,
hopefully, our relationship will lasts a couple of years. And
What I was trying to say is
Yeah,
that
go.
my family do tend to. We like to think that we, envelope and accept.
yes,
Members
I'm
of,
not
like,
saying
my
I don't
sister
feel
was like-
accepted, but
Oh,
I
good.
feel,
Oh,
no,
good.
absolutely I feel accepted, and I'm very privileged to be part of the family. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's...
But you're still very aware that you're.
I'm not part...
You're a
I'm,
step
yes,
away.
I'm a step away. I suppose I guess it's because of the way that we're both... Well, you're not yet divorced, but you will be, and I am divorced, and we're later in life. And I don't know, if we'd been first time married, you'd been accepted in, and I don't know, maybe it's just my own mental perception and the way I was brought up. But I don't know, I just feel a little bit, you just feel slightly distant from it. You know, it's one of those things.
It's not an issue though.
No, definitely not. So finally, on the last part of this, the emotional baggage of, you could have a partner who has mental issues, which, not extreme ones
Mental health
necessarily,
issues,
or
yeah.
mental or physical issues, handicapped in some way, or has an accident. I mean, I've lost an eye. It's not a big issue at all, luckily. But if I had lost my legs and suddenly we've got a relationship and well, I suppose that's part of the relationship. You had a suddenly car accident and you're in a wheelchair, But if you...
It would either make or break a relationship.
Yes.
As
But
it often does,
the
I
baggage
suppose.
part, I'm just trying to think the baggage. If I had a wheelchair, if I was in a wheelchair when you met me...
That would be baggage that I'd
would-
have to
yes.
deal with, and
Yes.
can I take this on?
Which some people are great at, and I mean, I don't think if I'd met you and you were in a wheelchair, and I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know if I could have taken you on as a girlfriend. I've taken you on as a friend, but I don't know if you don't know how your emotions are going to play out, do you?
You can't say for sure how you would have behaved. But
But
no,
ordinarily, I'm not very good.
I think I would have been looked over rather rapidly.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, I
That's
don't mean
the
it in a
thing.
bad way either. It's
I
just-
think one just has to be honest.
This weird young woman. I did it again. Young woman with crazy hair.
Well, that's. I mean,
that was enough of a barrier for you to get over.
Well,
anyway,
ordinarily,
wasn't it?
yes. I mean, I wouldn't
In
have
a way.
placed you in my girlfriend. When they say, have you
In
got
the
a
potential
type?
girlfriend type.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
what's
yeah.
your type? And you go, well, I don't really know what my type is. But there's certain types. People with tattoos, perhaps, might not, or a whole load of, these, what do you call them?
Piercings.
Piercings and things like that. Generally, they wouldn't attract me.
Because actually, when I met you, I had a tongue piercing, didn't I?
I can't remember.
I did. I did still have my tongue piercing in.
In the
but
early
because I
days.
started to be on camera more with you, and
Right.
I've got a bit of a lisp anyway, naturally, which I've always been aware of. But with the tongue bar, it made it more. And I was like, well, I don't want to be struggling. I already struggle enough mentally
Yeah.
to speak on camera, if you'd have noticed.
Well, I
But
mean,
better
we
now.
weren't an item
So I took
back
it out
then,
and I haven't had it in since.
Oh, right.
And I
Oh,
miss
okay.
it.
Yeah.
But
Oh, do you?
my tongue's healthier.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have to say.
I don't keep biting it and catching it and
So
damaging
there's
my teeth.
so you were in a category that, whilst you were very nice, initially I would not have sort of gone, oh, that's my type. And that just goes to show how closed off I was, and I'm happy to admit that, because I think we're all closed off to certain things, and we all put people in boxes, and we don't. And it's until you actually open the box and get to know someone, you suddenly think, well, actually, all of that is just an exterior. It's the person.
Just the cover on the book.
Yes. And so,
Doesn't- yeah.
absolutely, you open the book and
It's
you
not-
start reading
yeah.
it, and you go, I actually really like this.
Yeah.
And that's, that's what happened
Cover
with
is
us.
not a complete explanation of what's between the covers.
Yeah. So, and I think we all do that. I think we all, as humans, we
Yeah,
judge
yeah.
on
And
the
stereotype
cover.
people. I mean, but that's part of the survival. You have to, in a certain way, because there's so much information to take in, and you have to kind of almost pigeonhole people
Yeah.
to start with, and then let them break out of that.
So that's baggage. This is a conversation that could run and run and run, isn't it? Because
It
there's
is, 'cause
so much to it.
There's a lot of baggage to be talked about.
Absolutely. So if you're happy to make a comment about the baggage that you've had to deal with, or whether you found it difficult, or want to share any of that, we'd love to read the comments and and know that we're not alone with our thoughts on the baggage and how you get over certain things, and perhaps there are certain things that you just can't get over. But anyway, we're going to enjoy the rest of our tea here.
By the way,
Yes.
on behalf of all those lovely ladies and gentlemen who wanted to give you a hug from that story about your, well, that was loosely based on your mum, this is from to them.
Ah,
There you go.
thank you very much.
Hugged him for you.
Hugged him. Well, cheers everybody, TTFN, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Pinkies at dawn.